Welcome to the Byron Hills Board of Education meeting on Wednesday, August 8th, 2018. We can stand and say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. We have our board here tonight with the exception of Lara Stengel, but this was also not a originally scheduled board meeting. To be fair, we've had two board meetings this summer that were added to the agenda given that we had important business, including something that we'll talk about tonight on the topic of charitable contributions, as we did at the last meeting. Meeting was called to order at 6:50 p.m. and the board went into executive session. We spoke about 3.1 district matter, district revenue, 3.2 district matter, district revenue, 3.3, the pattern's emerging, district matter, district revenue, and then 3.4 district matter, property. With that, are there any comments from the public on any items that are not on the agenda? Okay, hearing none. The next order of business is I'd like to make a motion to appoint Superintendent Lamia the district clerk pro tem, not to exceed one meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay. Salary increase.
From your lips.
So added to your additional responsibilities tonight is the swearing in of Mike
All
Sanders.
right. So, Mike,
I think I should stand, right?
yes, you should stand and
Raise your right hand.
raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the Byron Hills School District Board of Education
of the office of the Byron Hills School District Board of Education
for the term of 3 years,
for the term of 3 years,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
All right.
And you'll have to
I have to
sign.
sign the book later, too.
Excellent. Now we have you as a voting member. So with that, we are on to item 5, which is the adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, there are a few there are revisions to the agenda that I will walk through right now. The first of which was just what we did, swearing in of Mike Sanders. Then there was also an addition, which I mentioned when we talked about executive session, of item 3.3, which was the district matter, district revenue, item 3.4, district matter, property, and then there's also an additional item, item 6, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is the unfinished business charitable contributions. So with those changes, all in favor? Okay. We are on to our unfinished business item tonight, item 6.1, charitable contributions. So probably the best place to start on this is just to give a quick recap, because we had a discussion about this last time, but just to make sure that everyone has full information of what's being discussed. As we know, New York State moved forward earlier in the spring to authorize districts to create a charitable gift reserve fund to offer property tax credits to incentivize contributions. And the state has amended the law, which has a process now for collecting these contributions and having them credited to the tax bill. And the New York State law was amended to allow for the charitable fund contributions to be deducted for state income tax purposes. The board needs to determine, every board needs to determine whether it wants to adopt a resolution to establish a fund. Otherwise, obviously, no fund would exist absent that resolution. And then the other bit of background is that on May 23rd, 2018, the IRS came out and issued a notice of intention to propose regulations that would address the federal tax treatment of these contributions. And they have not yet come out with definitive guidance on that front, so that is still a question. The board has taken this matter very seriously and engaged in a process of doing due diligence on multiple fronts to really think about this issue as fiduciaries of the district. And obviously, wherever possible, we want to be mindful of the taxpayers in the community and do everything that we can to protect the district and to protect our taxpayers. And so we continue to be in the process of doing that due diligence. And I want to say a special thank you to the administration for, despite the fact it being the summer and there's a lot of things to do to prepare for the new school year, they've been our partners in trying to really get to the bottom of some of these important questions that we have to ask before we can make any decision about moving forward, yes or no. The factors that we talked about last time, which I'll just do a quick recap on. First, the impact on the district's finances. So does it impact the tax cap? Do we have the ability to move the money from this charitable entity into the district as we need it to run our operations? And for the most part, in this category, we've gotten answers to our questions that are satisfactory. We have a couple of questions remaining that we're working through right now with council, one particularly related to just make sure that in no way this would impact state aid. So on that front, we have a little bit more work to do, but we've gotten through the bulk of the diligence. There's a timing issue which we've identified, which is that a contribution needs to be made the day before the first installment of the tax payment, which is on September 30th. For this community, so we know that time is of the essence and a decision needs to be made soon. There are a host of legal due diligence questions that we've raised, and we're in the process of doing that due diligence. We've gone through a lot of it, but there are a few remaining issues that we continue to carefully evaluate with council. And then lastly, there's the administrative element, because we don't collect our own taxes. Here at Byron Hills, we have we're part of really 4 taxing jurisdictions. The members of our community that pay taxes to the schools work through 4 separate towns, and so anything that we do needs to be in coordination with the towns that actually collect the taxes, since that's an important piece of the puzzle as well. So there's more work to be done there, and we are in discussions. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where we are holistically in terms of our diligence process, and so our plan is to continue that diligence process and reach a conclusion by the August 28th meeting, which is the next meeting that we have on our docket. And with that, I think as an overview, I would open it up just to see if anybody else has any comments on the issue or any items that they want to discuss regarding this issue before we go to our next agenda item.
I would just say, I think as a board member, I'm grateful for the leadership that you, Scott, and Michael, that you guys have really shown on this issue, which is a complicated issue, and you really brought your personal expertise to bear to assist us in looking through these issues and all the administration. I think it's been a very healthy and open process among the board. I look forward to continuing, but you really should be congratulated for that. It's really been a learning experience for me.
I appreciate it, and yeah, look, we just are, I think, trying to do everything we can as a board to balance out the most important thing, which is protecting the district and being a fiduciary of the district, and obviously trying to do everything that we can to make sure that our taxpayers have the flexibility to try to do what they need to do. Okay. So anything else? Otherwise, we'll go on to our next item. Okay. So item 7, under new business, 7.1 is the valuation of converted condominiums resolution. So just to give a little bit of background on this, our legal counsel has worked to draft a proposed resolution, which we're about to talk about tonight, and then at the end of the discussion can consider voting on or not, depending on the board discussion. The resolution addresses a specific issue, which is really the issue of condo conversion. So what the proposed resolution does not do is it does not impact dwellings that are currently classified and taxed as condominiums. It doesn't impact the future decisions that the town may make as they look at projects and decide whether they're fee simple taxation or condo taxation, but what it does impact is a fee simple property today that elects to be a condo conversion for tax purposes, which under New York state law is something that is possible, but there's a resolution that we will consider tonight that basically disallows that for purposes of paying school taxes specifically. And I'll read the resolution just as a backdrop for the discussion. It's titled Resolution Opting Out of RPTL 5811A and RPTL 339Y1B. Whereas Real Property Tax Law RPTL 5811A and RPTL 339Y1B provide that real property owned or leased by a cooperative corporation or on a condominium basis shall be assessed at a sum not exceeding the assessment which would be placed upon such parcel were it not owned or leased by a cooperative corporation or on a condominium basis. And whereas RPTL 581-1C and RPTL 339Y1F further provides a local option to remove the assessment restrictions found in that section as it would apply to converted condominium units, as that term is defined in the statute. And whereas the board believes that exercising its option under RPTL 581-1C and RPTL 339Y1F is in the best interest of the district. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the board of the district as follows. Section 1, the board of the district hereby exercises its option pursuant to RPTL 581-1C and hereby provides that the assessment restrictions provided by RPTL 581-1A shall not apply to converted condominium units within the district. Section 2, the board of the district hereby exercises its option pursuant to RPTL 339-1F and hereby provides the assessment restrictions provided by RPTL 339Y1B shall not apply to converted condominium units within the district. Section 3, the district's clerk with the assistance of the district's attorney shall inform the assessor of this determination. And lastly, Section 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately. So I'll start with my perspective on it, but then obviously we should have a discussion. Is that we ultimately have a duty to protect all taxpayers, and to the extent that there's condominiumization of existing fee simple properties, clearly what that does, assuming the budget is the budget, is it will then shift the burden to other taxpayers in the fee simple structure. And for that reason, keeping in mind the fact that with the federal tax law, there's pressure on taxpayers with pressure on commercial properties, there's pressure on residential taxpayers. I would personally be supportive of moving forward with this resolution on that basis, but open to discussion.
I think for the reasons that you stated, I absolutely agree with you, and I think you stated that very, very thoroughly. So I'm in absolute agreement.
I'm going to concur with what you just said, only because we need to keep it equitable for all our taxpayers.
I think that this resolution is consistent with our fiduciary obligations as trustees of the school district. I would simply note on if what we're passing is going to be what you read as opposed to what's here, but I just think that this document isn't become part of the minutes. We ought to clean it up just a little bit. There's a double word "and," but also where it says the third whereas, it should be whereas the board of the Byram Hills Central School District. It's not defined anywhere. So should the board of the Byram Hills Central School District, and section 1, the word central school should be put in before the word district, and the same thing in section 2, and then you can define the term district, but just so it's clear. And then the district's clerk, as long as district is defined as the Byram Hills Central School District, it's fine, but let's just make sure the terms are properly defined and it's cleaned up.
Makes sense. Okay. Anybody else? Any other comments?
I'm in agreement with for the reasons you stated.
Okay, so given that, I guess I would ask for a motion to vote on the resolution incorporating Ira's changes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay.
I just think we should note on the record, this really is a very important resolution. And it's something that I think really goes to the heart of what we do. So it shouldn't, even though we're doing this in August, as opposed to maybe in the middle of winter, I'm very happy we did it, but it really is something that is important to the ongoing stability of the school district.
Okay. So with that, we go to item 8, staff reports. Anything to report on tonight, despite the fact that it's mid-August?
Well, yeah, mid-August, but pretty exciting that we again received our AAA rating from Moody's Investor Service, which is
One more year.
one more year.
Very good news.
Yes, Greg Carlson would be very
We'll
happy.
take it.
to hear
Yes,
that.
he would. Yes, he would.
Yes. So I thought the board would be happy to hear that. And the only other report I have is, typically boards of education do not meet over the summer, and just that the amount of time that this board has put into researching the items that were discussed in unfinished business tonight to make sure that they were doing their due diligence by the people who are in this community, I think is outstanding, and I just wanted to thank you for doing that. I work all year round, but the board has given up this time over the summer. It's very valuable. Thank you.
With that, board reports. The only thing I think I have to report on is that we've done committee assignments and
Yep.
we'll distribute them out, but that's all finalized, so we're ready to go when the school year starts. And anybody else have anything to report on?
You haven't distributed them.
No,
right?
we will,
Okay.
yeah. That's it. So then, with that, next section is communications to the board, of which we haven't received any, unless anybody has.
Before we adjourn, I think we should just note the stellar performance by our district clerk pro tem.
Yes.
Thank you. I've had some experience in that
I
before.
just think it's been stellar.
It was your night to shine.
It was. That was all I
You want
said.
to extend it one more meeting?
No, thank you. You're good.
With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning? Good night.
Thanks, everyone.